The American brand Vaer sells the 39mm G5 Pacific steel for $923. The A5 Atlas Green Automatic sells for $889. Is that worth it for a watch that isn't even Swiss made? Well, I loaned both of them from Veaya, so we're about to find out. Let's dive in. The A5 Atlas retails on a steel bracelet for $889. It's Vaya's premium sports watch. That means it's positioned against watches like the Gentleman from Tissot. It's got a 38mm case, 45mm lug-to-lug, 11mm of thickness, 20mm lug width. It's got a locking screw-down crown. It's got a date window. It has a sunburst dial. It has BHW9 Super Luminova, where Veaya give it a 6 out of 10 Veaya rating. I don't know what that means, but apparently that's 6 out of 10. It has 100 meters of water resistance. There's a Miyota 9015 movement inside with 42 hours of power reserve, beating at 4 Hertz. It's got +5 to -15 seconds of accuracy per day. It has a 2 years of warranty and comes with a carrying box, an extra strap, and a strap change tool. This watch, according to Veaya, is designed to outshine big brand watches in the 3K range. That's a big statement. Vaer ships the watch in a zipper, solid Belkin bag kind of box, which is clearly designed to also be used for transportation. Inside is a rough velour suede kind of lining. You get a watch pocket, which is secured by straps to the case. It's all quite cool, and I love the fact that it's actually useful as transportation. You can use it for something else as well. It's evident immediately that this is a sports watch in design. The case is vertically brushed with a thin polished bevel along the length of the case on both the top and underside of the flanks. The lugs have a fairly aggressive slope to them, and with the 45mm lug-to-lug and 38mm in diameter, this watch is very much an all-rounder in terms of sizing. The bezel has the classic full polish that you expect from a sports watch. The crown is, with no better way of describing it, well proportioned. Some are big, some are bulbous, others are too small to get a grip on. This one fits the case. It's big in radius, but not in thickness. It's easy to get your fingers around. It's easy to use. Cool. The dial is a simple sunburst. It's maybe a little bit on the dark side. It doesn't have a lot of burst to it. That makes for something a little bit understated. It doesn't have the schwung of a date-just sunray. You've got a thin outer chapter ring with printed indices for the minutes, and a step in, you have the applied steel markers with Luminova applied. The 12 o'clock is a slightly larger triangle. The rest are almost rectangular, but not quite. My initial thought was that the minutes hands is a little bit too long and the hour hand is a little bit wide or chubby. The hour hand especially just feels a little bit oversized for the 38mm case. The text is the Veaya logo at 12 o'clock and automatic 10 atoms at 6 o'clock. It also says American assembly on the outer ring at 6 o'clock, so not Swiss made. The movement is visible through the case back, and super positive, it has an appropriate size. Some movements feel really small in some cheaper watches. There's a little bit of striping on the barrel bridge. The rotor is a little bit on the dinky side. They always are at this price point. You can just tell that they don't have that satisfying heft to them that better movements have. It's not a super duper custom rotor. It's fairly simple. It's got a Veaya logo and some grainy texture to the edges of the rotor. It feels like the cheaper movement that it is. It's got a teeny tiny bit of that sand in the gears sound that you hear on movements at this price point. There's no sand in the gears. It just has that sound. When you wind it, you feel a little bit like you're fighting the movement. The date window does shift easily though. There's no unpleasant resistance there. It changes, you know it changes, but you don't hear the turnover click you sometimes do at this point where it's like this clunk that you hear on some movements. The bracelet is a 3-link affair. They're all vertically brushed. There's a little bit of play on the end links where it attaches to the case. You can physically move the end links back and forth a little bit from the case. The bracelet also has a little bit of jingle jangle to it. On a scale from Seiko SKX to Patek Philippe Nautilus, we are not in Seiko SKX jingle jangle territory, but I've seen better. It's got a quick adjustment mechanism. That's good and not something you consistently see at this price point. It's a decent mechanism. It's not buttery smooth like an IWC Pilot Mark 20 that has the Brogioli mechanism on it, but it's good. And the clasp itself is brushed at the center links and it's polished on the sides. I had the Nevada Antarctic in at the same time as I had this watch in. This clasp feels milled and cut, where the Nevada felt milled and pressed. There was just a sharpness to the Veaya case that was better. The edges at the transition between the brushed center and the polished sides is just sharper. The buttons work well. There's a little bit of squeak to them. It's all in all really decent. Half of the people watching this video are not subscribed. If you are one of those people, please consider clicking the subscribe button now. It helps out the channel massively. On this channel, I talk about the watches that I love. I talk about everything watch related, watches, watch brands, and the watch market. I'm unbiased, I'm in nobody's pocket, and I just love talking about watches. I hope you'll share that with me. Click subscribe. Thanks a ton. Okay, I would as a customer be paying $889. What would I like? The bracelet is definitely competitive with others in the space. The finishing is very decent and on the better side for sub $1,000 watches. The clasp with the easy adjust is also very nice. The dial is really well executed. There aren't any readily apparent shortcuts or flaws. It's a legible watch. It's simple. It's restrained. Overall, if you're considering a Tissot gentleman, I would definitely be open to entertaining this one as well for sure. The main selling point for the Tissot gentleman would be the superior movement with 80 hours, and that's mainly a spec superiority. Flaws and dislikes, I think the play between the case and the bracelet could be improved. That's something that is doable around this price. The bracelet itself could also do with slightly less of that jingle jangle to it. Don't see a reason for them to upgrade further on the clasp or the easy adjust. Apart from that, I don't really think there are any glaring flaws as such. A personal thing that I would have preferred was a fully white color to the plots instead of the yellow-green lume that it has right now. I think it would have popped as a dial a little bit more. So to the claim that this watch competes with the 3K range, I would say no. To compete, it would need a much more accurate movement. It would need a movement with more power reserve, a nicer custom rotor, no jingle jangle to the bracelet, and a smoother easy adjust. Also, that play in the bracelet between the bracelet and case would also need to go. But would it compete with some, not all, but some $1,500 watches? On some points, yes. I can find the Zin 556 that has a markedly inferior bracelet, that has no easy adjust, that has a markedly less premium dial and has a much more basic finishing to the case. This is for the person that wants a nice watch, a restrained, simple, easygoing, easy on the eyes sports watch that works in both dressy situations and more relaxed situations. That's where this watch excels. It does exactly what a Tissot gentleman is designed to do as well. It's also for somebody that wants to make something that is American assembled. It's not for anybody looking for something quirky or eccentric. There's no 60s or 70s vibe to this. I might also recommend this watch to someone that maybe spends more on a diver or a chronograph, but wants an affordable option to wear when they go to weddings or swanky do's. Would I buy it myself? No. This watch has the exact same problem for me that the Omega Aquaterra does. It's a little bit too restrained. It's a little bit dull to me. I've got more than enough dull watches. I would always also go for these kind of watches for a club sport or a Datejust or something that has a little bit more punch to it. Tissot PRX, that would also be more punchy. But that's not a flaw of the watch. It's just what I like in my sports watches. For the price, very decent option. It's not a 3K killer. This is a good, nice watch for the good, nice person. Which brings me on to the G5 Pacific Steel. 39mm case, 13.06mm thick, 45.83mm lug to lug. 20mm lug width, 120 click bezel, a box sapphire crystal with AR coating, 200 meters of water resistance, and a Miyota 9075 movement with a GMT function. The lume rating by Vaer is 9 out of 10. Again, I don't know, but that's a lot apparently. Honestly, I don't bother checking lume. It's a thing I never ever use. And sometimes, you know, when you have really strong lume, you notice it when you've been at the pool for a while and you're standing in the elevator in the hotel lobby. But apart from that, I never use it. So it's not a thing I care that much about. The bracelet seems like the same bracelet. It's got the same jingle jangle and the same play at the case. The clasp is a notable downgrade. There's no easy adjust mechanism. Instead, you get 4 positions of push pin adjustment. The clasp itself also feels stamped. It's got that roundedness of the flanks that you usually see in stamped clasps. It also has a fold-over locking mechanism. It has a little bit of play to it, and I would put my money on the fact that it will loosen fairly quickly over time. It's a shame that it's not the same clasp as the other watch. My guess is that the cost went into the GMT movement and the rotating bezel, and they needed to hit a price point, so the premium clasp had to go. The movement isn't identical, but the experience using it feels largely the same. The crown can be pulled out to move the hour hand independently, so yay, good for the GMT function. The case has a stronger level of beveling to it and a lot more polish. It's reminiscent of the Omega twisted lugs in style. The bezel is also really nicely put together. When I look at a GMT bezel, I usually pay attention to a couple of things. Is the knurling on the edges crisp and sharp? Yes, it is. Is the text on the bezel in the right proportions? So, not too fat, not too thin. Do they have room to breathe? And the answer here is yes. Is there any play in the bezel? No, none. It also sits perfectly, and it sits ever so slightly under the slightly domed crystal. Is the steel evenly brushed? Also, big yes. The Vaer has all of that. There's a little annoyance, which is that it's neither a 24 or 48-hour click bezel. It's a 120 click bezel. I would have preferred it, being a GMT, not being a 120 click bezel. We are definitely in Rolex Explorer kind of territory. They make no allusions to that it's not. The yellow tinted lume works really well, and the orange GMT hand is the exact size I want it to be. I can see it when I need it, but it's not overpowering. The hands also feel much better proportioned here. I can't tell if they're actually the same as the ones on the A5, but on this style and this case configuration, plus because it's a GMT Explorer style watch, it works. The dial pops in a way that the A5 doesn't. Now, who's it for? You are maybe considering a Hamilton car key. You are considering watches like a Tudor Black Bay Pro, but at a lower price point. You might also be considering something like a Christopher Ward Sealander watch, which costs a couple of $100 more. The Vaer definitely has things in common with the Rolex Explorer 2, the Black Bay Pro, and also something like similarly priced Glycine MN watches. In terms of pure aesthetics, I choose this Vaer any day of the week over a Glycine or a Christopher Ward. The Christopher Ward, stronger movement, better bracelet, finished better, but the case and dial proportions of that watch have never felt right to me. The Glycine models are also on the chonkier side. Despite the inferior bracelet compared to the A5, this is the model I'd go for of the two. This is for the outdoor person who might be looking for a premium feeling outdoor type watch that isn't too expensive. Vaer are very open about being inspired by the Rolex Explorer 2, and they get away with it. This is a really compelling option. It's really well built. I wouldn't say that it competes with any $3,000 watches either. Also, unlike the A5, I also don't think it can go completely head to head on build quality with something like a Christopher Ward Sealander. It's a design that speaks to me, and it's the kind of watch I usually keep coming back to. They've done a really good job. Vaer, put on a better bracelet, fix the play between the bracelet and case, make it a 48 click bezel, and I'd happily pay a couple of $100 more. So those were my thoughts. And to my original question, is a non-Swiss made watch worth it? Definitely. American assembled means nothing to me, but respect nevertheless. They're trying to do something with not in-house, but in-country assembly. I like that. That's cool. That's all I had this time around. Share your thoughts about your experience with Vaer and their watches, their customer service, all that kind of stuff. Like, subscribe. Cheers. Since you've stuck around for so long, a little bit about my approach to reviews. My channel is constantly evolving, and my core content is not about reviewing watches, but I do like having the privilege of trying different watches. It feeds my own little watch obsession, but I just also learn about watches constantly by having hands-on with as many as possible. It makes my thoughts about watches better. I've also learned that many of you appreciate my thoughts on specific watches, so I have increasingly started to reach out to brands to ask if I can review their watches. I never keep the watches. I always send them back. I get no money. I get no favors. I get nothing from the brands. I tend to ask for watches on loan that I like. I don't see a point in reaching out to Hublot to bash their water droplet abomination. I speak my mind on the flaws of the watches I do review, but I'm not going to do a hatchet job of a watch just for the sake of views. The brands have no influence over my content. They never see the video before you guys. They see it the same day as you. As I get into contact with more brands, I will review more, but I am dependent on these brands being willing to send me watches. I've tried to get into contact with many, and let's just say I'm not quite Teddy Baldassar levels of clout yet. Some big brands are opening up to me, but others don't quite yet acknowledge my existence. Having said that, it's fun. I hope you enjoyed these reviews and find them useful. Like I said again, one more time, like, subscribe. Cheers.